Hello and welcome to Cleave of Rage, the map destroyer. Now this is a very high budget oriented update from my previous build guide Cleave of Rage that I made for RT version, which is the cheap version, and the 50-60-ish Divine Crit version. I have upgraded the build since, as you guys could have seen on my streams, as I have solely played this build for the past few weeks, almost a full month now. And the build is coming up to be around 420-ish divines in investment. Now, this can go higher. I still have some cheap items. I still upgraded something last night, and so on and so forth. But for now, you can basically do maps in like 7 minutes or so if you don't Wisp Empower them. If you do Wisp Empower them, they take up to double the time depending on the Wisps. This map that you are seeing in the background was around 4k Wisps, something like that. And this map took a little bit of time. Now, for the content that I am doing personally, I like to do Breach and Legion. I do not recommend doing Wisps. The Breach basically gives more splinters the more monsters you kill, and if they are Wisp empowered, because it's multiplicative, it can just take a long time to kill, and sometimes you don't even get to kill them. Sometimes you one-shot them, sometimes you don't. It really does depend on the modifier. Same with Legion. Legions don't give that big of a reward bump when you Wisp Empower them like this little, but the time it takes to clear this map versus doing others without Wisps, you would get definitely more rewards. You're basically doing Wisps for extra rewards, and I did it here just for the showcase of the build. Now, when it comes to the build, I have done a few things, which is I have added inspired learning so we can have a mini headhunter. You will also see here if a boss is empowered with three things, it's going to take a while. But here is the POB. Now I will show you the POB while the video is running in the background so you guys can see everything. So around 15 million damage plus minus, and then plus Savior, which is double that. Now, the build is crit immune, bleed immune, curse immune, unless there's an insane effect, but reduce the effect of curses, like curse immune, spell suppression capped, full 100% spell suppression, not like lucky and whatnot. Build has around, if I'm not mistaken, 30k armor, 29,770 armor. This could be improved with better chest piece and so on. It has regular, I've reduced the amount of resistances, it has regular resistances. 32 chaos, but with progenesis it bumps up to 50 something odd percent, so it bumps up to 67%. But defense-wise, build is really good. Clearing speed-wise, build is excellent because of inspired learning. Now, how do we manage to do all of that? Oh yes, also corrupted blood immune. Let's not forget that. Basically, the only ailment that can hurt us are those like floor things that can drop. Oh, ailment immune as well, fully. And poisons, but there's not that many poisons in the game in general, and to get through progenesis, that will take a little bit of time. Now, when it comes to the unique things that we are doing on the skill tree, we are doing Thread of Hope, which is of course the medium ring one, so we can pick up extra passives. We are doing Lethal Pride. This one gives 1, 2, and 3 nodes take reduced extra damage from critical strikes. I removed this one because of other defenses once I put Progenesis and so on. There are still 2 passive points left to do. One could be used for Iron Reflexes because we have a lot of evasion rating on our armor because of the spell suppression that rolls on dexterity gear. There's of course Inspired Learning with Corrupted Blood. There is a Watcher's Eye with reduced extra damage taken from critical strikes while affected by Determination, because of course we have Determination. And there's of course Blitz Charges, Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame for that sweet 5th Ascendancy point, which was Blitz. For charms, we have a few things. For charms, we have banner skills have no reservation, cannot take reflected fizz. Warcries grant rage per power if you have less than 25 rage. Leech is instant. And chance to suppress spell damage, chance to gain a power charge on a critical strike. Now, what will change between Affliction League and another league would be a simple thing. You won't have charms, of course, so the extra spell suppression must come from the gloves. On gloves, we have the lowest tier 5 spell suppress, so you have to go for a perfect spell suppress and then craft your own gloves. That can be pricey. So that will be from spell suppression there, and also you will need spell suppression on the chest piece. For banner skills, you have no reservation. You will have to go with Abyssus 90% reduced mana cost of skills inside, and that will add on to the banner, and then you won't connect banner to anything, basically like now. And for Warcries grant 2 rage per 5 power if you have less than 25 rage. I still have to figure that one out without sacrificing the ascendancy point, because we would then, if that's the case, we would then sacrifice one ascendancy. So we have to choose either Flawless Savagery, probably Flawless Savagery for War Banner, but if that's the case, then we can then swap to Berserk and whatnot. I don't like playing with Berserk because I think it's a bit of a cheese, but if you do, feel free to weapon swap. So what do I do in the beginning of a map? In the beginning of a map, I weapon swap, I cast Enduring Cry, I get 75 rage or however much, I swap back, and then we go. You can, however, do this without the swap. You can. There is a little bit of trying to get your AoE going, but you can do it in the worst case scenario. Now, we are hopping on the train of Inspired Learning here in the bottom under Duelist. Why? Because we are using a Frenzy Charge, we are using an Endurance Charge, we are using Revelry because of mana reservation efficiency, and we are using Cloth and Chain as the fourth notable point. But also, we have Armor and Evasion Mastery, which is immune to bleeding if equipped helmet has higher armor than evasion rating. Now, because our helmet only has armor, it has 0 evasion rating, we are bleed immune. So that makes more of a thing. And there is also one more jewel that I've forgotten about, which is Storm Shroud. Modifiers to chance to avoid being shocked apply to all elemental ailments. This is one jewel slot that you should sacrifice for the boots. Now let's go over the gear. Gear is, as from my previous video, Savior, Rigwald Savagery with attack speed and fortify. Abyssus, it's the same. Defiance of Destiny, I did upgrade this one to higher resistance one because that dropped and it had higher life and 1% less of missing unreserved life. This was catalysted with life 1 and we got the bonuses. Mage Blood stays the same. This one is a little bit better because we did some gambling on stream and then we decided to swap Mage Bloods and so on. But that also got cheaper. A lot of this got cheaper. Progenesis got added. Of course, with Mage Blood, we added all the other things. And I've talked about every jewel. Everything else is the same. Large cluster and medium cluster are the same from the original Cleave of Rage video build guide. Now, when it comes to the rest of the things, body armor stayed the same because I didn't upgrade that one, as that one is purely damage. You would go for additional curse, more attack crit. You don't need power charge, so you can take some other things, whichever you'd like. This really depends on you. You can take mana cost, you can take something else, you can take spell suppression, you can take elemental ailments, yada, whatever you'd like. I would just go for that base that gives you all elemental resistances, just so you have extra. So the video is going to replay now, so we don't have to watch that again. But that's basically how a map goes. It then took a lot of time to loot. To go over the next things, I did gloves myself. I bought the fractured base. These were like 2-3 divines or so to smack with essences, and that's basically it. You can smack this with any essence. Or you can do or you can do like regular rolling. I think I did either essence or regular rolling. I honestly don't remember it at this given time. And they were cheap. Boots were rolled by myself. The base was 2 to 5 divines. You want on the base 50% chance to avoid being shocked. That's 48. That's a perfect modifier from Eater of Worlds. So if you press Alt, from Searing Exarch. Searing Exarch implicit modifier, Eater of Worlds is a different thing. Chance to avoid being shocked. Now, for Eater of Worlds, I rolled cooldown recovery rate of travel skills. I just rolled this randomly. And I just got bored at one point and just moved on. Like, you can roll something better. For the gloves, I rolled Searing Exarch critical chance, and for Eater, chance to suppress spell damage lesser. You don't need anything better. You will be 101% spell suppress capped. How do we get the other spell suppression? Well, one is from the passives on the tree. This basically wheel here, and this one we change this node for this one, more crit of course, and you get 19.5% from Quartz Flask, which is the phasing flask. Gives you phasing and gives you chance to suppress spell damage, and then because we are perma-phasing, we also have 8% chance to suppress spell damage while phasing, spell suppression mastery. Now, where would I go with this build? You can go with better gloves, better ring. The ring next upgrade would be fractured chaos res on amethyst ring, and then you slam an essence and so on. To change these two weapons, you need to spend like 300-400 divines each. One is for the psychotic axe and one is for a sword. But then that will change the sword that you will need more dexterity, which we are currently missing. 212 dexterity. This one is 192 at this point in time. Abyssus with mana cost, reservation, efficiency, whatever for socketed skills. So then you can change the charm and whatnot. But here's one important thing which I have found out while I was making the video, which is I still am using Soul of Solaris, which is worthless. Chance to avoid elemental ailments from critical strikes. We're crit immune, we're ailment immune. Take no extra damage from crit strikes as well. Reduced elemental damage if you haven't been hit recently. We are always getting hit. So that's a waste of time. You should go for Soul of Lunaris, which is fizz damage reduction for each nearby enemy. Chance to avoid projectiles, reduced elemental damage taken if you have been hit recently, which we have, and avoid projectiles that have chained. Basically that. For minor Pantheon, we go with Tukohama because fizz damage reduction and regenerate life while stationary. When we do our ability, we are stationary. You can go Aberrath to counter the Searing Exarch modifiers, basically, and that would be it. Now, what have I done on this build? Almost everything. I haven't done Simulacrum. I have tried to do level 83 Sanctums. I've failed 3 out of 3 times. Once I got killed by Lycia because she left me in no room and I just took a full Progenesis out and didn't have Enduring Cry to restore my life. The other ones I died because I'm a melee and AoE rooms and whatnot. Well, I haven't died. I lost my resolve. I have done all the Legion, all the Breach, all the June, Einhar. I haven't done Nico bosses because I'm saving them for some odd reason. Basically, most of the game. Haven't done Uber bosses as the invitations and everything are expensive. This build can comfortably run two-man feared life. It can comfortably run it if you can avoid the obvious one-shots from Cortex and from Aziri as well, but otherwise it can run feared properly. I've done all the Atlas nodes, everything myself. Of course, that includes all the Cortexes and whatnot. I haven't done Maven because her invitation is too expensive, but I believe this build can do Maven easily. You just have to pay attention to the last phase because we are very, very region dependent. Now, I have a regex for the maps that I've rolled. You can also see the updated version. I have that in the previous video. I will add the updated version to the POB. I haven't done this so far, but in the note sections, I will just add it here, regex. In the note sections, I basically said how much I've spent and what to do for Pantheon. And then for a low to decent investment, which is the previous POB, which is 0 to hero from RT to crit. This is going to be way cheaper. Everything is now cheaper and nothing to worry about. This build could be done in 350 divines and so. Now, why did I do this? Because I love this build, man. This build demolishes maps, demolishes things. I don't like to do wisps because they introduce unnecessary difficulty and time investment, but overall an average map with looting lasts sub 6 minutes with like 2-3 legions, a few breaches and so on, which is great. But this will be the final recap slash review of the build. I have some challenges to complete. Those will be done in the next few days on stream, which you can find me on Twitch Heavy Heels, on YouTube here, and on Kick Heavy Heels, as I stream on all 3 platforms at once. And that's basically it for the video. Hope you liked the showcase. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a like, sub if you don't mind to, and I will see you in the next PoE video. Or the next general video, we'll see. Have a good one.